Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The greetings of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos to the Vietnamese leadership are conveyed by His Excellency the Minister of Commerce and Industry. And the Telegraph Island in the Governorate of Musandam is the first modern telecommunication station in the Arabian Gulf. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. The greetings and best wishes of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos to the leadership, government and people of Vietnam of continuous progress and prosperity were conveyed by His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Masood Al Sunaidi, Minister of Commerce and Industry, and his delegation currently on a visit to the country, where he was received by His Excellency Nguyen Xuan Phuc, Prime Minister of Vietnam. The Vietnamese Prime Minister asked His Excellency to convey his greetings and best wishes to His Majesty, the government and Omani people of further progress and prosperity under His Majesty's wise leadership. He also praised during the meeting the wise policy of His Majesty the Sultan and the policy being adopted by the Sultanate at internal and external levels, commending what has been achieved in the development of various fields. They discussed enhancing trade exchange, finding available investment opportunities in both countries and increasing cooperation between them. The trade exchange had witnessed during 2017 a growth of around 22% to reach to more than $180 million. Earlier, the joint Omani-Vietnamese committee held meetings of its third round in the Vietnamese capital Hanoi with the participation of representatives from the private sector in the sectors of investment, trade, food, reserve and fish, and representatives from the state's General Reserve Fund. Meanwhile, businessmen participating in the delegation held meetings with their Vietnamese counterparts. The Telegraph Island in the Governorate of Musandam connected first time with modern telecommunication lines between the Arabian Gulf and the Indian continent and Basra city in Iraq, which was established in the 19th century. The still existing telecommunication station is attracted by a number of tourists and visitors, narrating seasons of the civilized communication of Oman throughout the ages. More details in the following report by Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rabai.
The Sultanate of Oman, with its geographical location, represent one of the important historical sea trade routes. And for each governorate in the Sultanate, it has its own advantages, and the advantage of Musandam is that it has the most important sea trade route. The Wilaya of Khasab is the administrative center of the governorate, and it is surrounded by high mountains connected to the sea. Khorasham represents a unique place for geology and is beautified by the color of the sea and mountains. Here, on the way to the Telegraph Island in Musandam, on the way we came across a number of dolphins who were playing around us. After leaving the dolphins, which continues to follow us on each side of the boat, we continue to move towards Telegraph Island, which is 6 kilometers away from Port Khasab. Mr. Salim is now close to the Telegraph Island, which is few meters away from here, and there we can see a group of boats with the tourists who came to learn on the history of this island and to discover its beauty. In the 19th century, and exactly in 1864, the island witnessed a big shift where a telegraph station was established. This specific place now holds its name as Telegraph Island and still continues to attract tourists and visitors. The scenery of the first line of the modern telecommunication in the Arabian Gulf still exists up to this moment, where in those days cable was placed to go all the way to Bombay in India and Iraqi city of Basra for this island to be the main station of the communication in the world. The Telegraph Island was not only a connection for the first modern telecommunication in the Arabian Gulf, but it was an expansion of the civilizational role that Oman played in the past for connecting with continents and peoples of the world, and Oman's contribution in establishing human values that is well known.
Aiming to promote the touristic potential of the Sultanate, the Embassy of the Sultanate in Algeria met with tourism agencies working in Algeria. The meeting aims to attract more visitors to the Sultanate as per its Strategic Tourism Plan 2016 to 2040. A number of photos and documents were presented during the meeting that showcase the richness of Oman's history and civilization. The Sultanate, represented by the Directorate General of Meteorology and the Public Authority for Civil Aviation, participated with other countries in the ceremony of the World Meteorological Organization, marking its annual day, which falls on the 23rd of March every year, remembering the day of entering the organization's agreement in the implementation phase in 1950. The celebration of WMO this year came to encourage world society to deal with climate changes and for preparation and readiness in facing changes to measure the climatic impact for limiting the risks and dangers. Still to come in our news bulletin. Civil Defence executed an evacuation exercise for residents of hotels in the Governorate of South Batna. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Hundreds of Syrian opposition fighters evacuated Harasta, a key besieged town in eastern Ghouta, for the second day today. The departure of opposition fighters from the powerful Ara al-Sham group could serve as a blueprint for rebels in other towns, bringing President Bashar Assad's government closer to recapturing the entire territory following years of siege and relentless bombardment. The evacuation deal was an effective surrender after a long siege and bombing campaign of the enclave just miles outside Damascus. Rebels had controlled eastern Ghouta since 2012. Syrian state news agency Sana said over 4,000 left today, more than 6,000 left the day before. A rescue operation was underway today after 150 whales became stranded in Hamelin Bay, 315 kilometres south of Perth in Western Australia. The mammals are believed to be short-finned pilot whales. The stranded animals were first spotted by a commercial fisherman early today. Later in the day, only 15 whales were still alive. Rescuers were trying to herd them back into the sea. Palliative care was also being administered where necessary. A shark alert was issued by the Fisheries Department as the stranded whales could attract the ocean predators. In 2009, more than 80 whales and dolphins died on a beach in the same bay. The biggest mass stranding of whales in Western Australia happened in 1996 in Dunsborough. That year, 320 long-finned pilot whales beached themselves. Heavy snow and flooding wreaked havoc across Eastern Europe today, closing down roads, flooding homes and stopping ferries on the Adriatic coast. In Romania, heavy snow and high winds led to schools being closed in the capital and 10 other counties. Some 53 trains did not run as scheduled today due to the wintry weather. 6 major highways were closed due to snow, with traffic restricted on other roads. At Bucharest Henry Coanda Airport, some flights were cancelled and others were running up to 2 hours late. Back to some more local news. Raising awareness among different segments of society and public and private establishments is an objective the Civil Defence and Ambulance seeks to achieve to limit risks of all types of accidents. The Civil Defence in the Walai of Barker executed an evacuation exercise for residents of hotels in the Governorate of South Batna. It aimed to assess the level of readiness as part of civil defence plans. The Ministry of Tourism stopped receiving new requests for investing in governmental touristic lands starting from the 1st of April until the 1st of July this year. The Ministry said that this came within the framework of renewing its technical system and new formation for its divisions, in addition to preparing touristic schemes for the governorates of Dhofar, Musandam, Muscat and South Sharqiya, stating that the registration will reopen on the 1st of July for receiving governmental touristic lands requests in the governorates of North Batana, South Batana, North Sharqiya and Al-Wasta, mentioning that the requests for other governorates will be after completing touristic schemes for each governorate. The Directorate General for Regional Municipalities and Water Resources in the Governorate of South Sharqiya celebrated World Water Day 2018. The ceremony included a number of events and activities which contributed to raising awareness levels with the importance of preserving water wealth and rationalising its consumption. The Water Awareness Exhibition is inaugurated, aiming to introduce the benefits of establishing water dams. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The greetings of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos to the Vietnamese leadership are conveyed by His Excellency the Minister of Commerce and Industry. And the Telegraph Island in the Governorate of Musandam is the first modern telecommunications station in the Arabian Gulf. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.